Maybe Professor Chandrasekhar have some comments because he
Yeah.
is.
Professor Chandrasekhar, you want to say anything? Professor Chandrasekhar is one of the veterans in India of semiconductor. He was doing 5 micron when everybody else in the world was doing 5 micron. So I think he was the pioneer from Siri Pilani, who has established a lot of facilities and, done quite a few things in the country. So,
Uh, Thank you, Professor Rao. So I have the benefit of having heard the comments of all the stalwarts earlier. So I think I can add something there. So the first thing I thought was that really this question that Ajay Chaudhary sahab said about making something for India. I was kind of trying to see where are the possibilities for innovation, and repeatedly I think about it and come to the same answer that there is this open source hardware which is RISC-V. This is a complete movement which gives us equal opportunity. Nothing else really gives us an opportunity at all in terms of processor space. So here is something that we can do from scratch, build our own processor, build it for definite application, customize it, and initially possibly prototype in an FPGA, and then subsequently go build a silicon for it. And so that kind of possibility exists. We started teaching that as part of one of our master's program in microelectronics, and I must say that it seems to have been well received by students through a very strong lab where they did parts of the processor. And towards the end, of course, the semester didn't give full opportunity of integrating the whole processor, but they could see everything inside out, build the blocks, and you could then. So I believe that that's an area where maybe university wide we can really try and see that we become part of it and focus on that and teach it through courses and carry it forward. I think that gives a lot of opportunity in terms of innovation because it is actually oriented for modification, innovation, adaptation for specific applications. So as a technology, to me, that looks very, very interesting, and we have at least some start there, and we have some standing there, and I'm sure we can have much better standing there. Uh, Second thing I see is that you know initially we said VLSI, so that's fine. VLSI for service is something that our country ended up doing pretty well, but now it is VLSI for what? VLSI for communication, VLSI for control, VLSI for artificial intelligence. So it's becoming VLSI for what, or chips for what. So that's where this innovation aspects comes in. And as I said, a firm platform can be RISC-V based together with all other things that one adds. And there is open source, so you do get a lot of support from the open source community. But I believe in building things from scratch, a lot of it by ourselves, and then adopting what else is available. So I think that is an area where uh, students from robotics, for example, could try and come in and try to build a robotic kind of controller or processor. Uh, that sort of things from the application side. So today it is VLSI for communication, VLSI for transport, electric vehicles, VLSI for energy conservation, VLSI for agriculture, VLSI for AI, artificial intelligence. So the application areas, deeper understanding and marrying it to architecting and VLSI implementation really holds the key for innovation. And I think we need to kind of push in that direction. Uh, this part where simulation through fab experience is something really, really important. I don't see that happening in 6 months. It is not possible, generally speaking, in an Indian environment. But our PhD students or MTech students possibly, but PhD students must be able to go through that. That's really important because that gives you the confidence. Without that, your learning, modeling, simulation, even design work, and doing validating it through simulations doesn't look like enough. Uh, the course on process for CMOS that Ranveer ji mentioned, uh, I think we possibly can look at and try with our next door neighbor Siri. I understand that they have a older clean room that they are now planning to dedicate to purely educational and training purposes, and they are trying to build a new clean room for more professional kind of work. So I don't know whether a implanter that they had is still working. It was probably quite old, but there was a CMOS process at 1 micron technology at one time that was running. Subsequently, in this submicron and nanometer range, that thing was dropped off. But that there was a time when uh, students from BITS could go through that lab and could actually uh, see partly build or see build a particular small kind of circuit which is more than a capacitor, a few transistor kind of circuit on which they could do measurements. I don't know whether it's possible to revive. Maybe we can explore with Siri. If Dr. Pancharia is here, maybe he would like to comment on it. So that's sort of thing that possibly can be done jointly with them, because they had a line which they now don't want to use for professional work and wish to build a new clean room, and maybe if that can be dedicated even in the meantime while we build up that kind of thing. But our experience at Siri had been that such lines, unless they are running, they really end up being, the reliability of the process becomes very poor if the line is turned off and turned on again. So it's good to have this kind of a line running, and it doesn't matter at what micron level it runs, as long as it can do a few hundred transistor circuit that you can design, lay out, fabricate, test, and package. So that is possible in my view if Siri takes interest, and we can also partner with them in that direction.
Sure, I think that's a good idea. So, Siri builds
So-
Milani offering the course.
Yeah. So that's possible. I think neuromorphic is a future area that Sangeeta ji was mentioning. It's something, I think it's a research topic right now. One doesn't see direct applications that are in field, even though people have built neuromorphic processors and they are kind of trying to, come and make people find use cases for it, etc. So I think people who are interested in that area, it would be an opportunity if there is a mission there. I think we can tie it up with the crest, and we can go further with that. The other things I was thinking was that we have electronics and communication. That means you put electronics to use in communication. Then you have electronics and control. So you use electronics knowledge to build control systems. So similarly, there is electronics and computer engineering. Now I know Goa has started this program, and I think that's really good, because if you have electronics and computer engineering, which means essentially hardware, most of our programs in the country in computer science area are really oriented purely towards software. So the hardware, and certainly not the going into the heart of the hardware. The hardware's hard chip is the chip. So that kind of thing, I think that could be of interest through offering some of these courses as electives, and trying to make sure that we take that route and try to give the student an experience of building a small processor and then making it work, and put things around it and demonstrate. I think again that would be something that will produce more confident computer engineers. Our embedded systems programs can benefit from that, and I'm sure our undergraduate computer engineering program can benefit from that. So that part of computer science people, should also be kind of brought into the CREST environment through courses which are oriented towards computer engineering and chip design for computer engineering kind of thing would be an add-on stuff for them. I think that's what I wish to say.
Thank you. This is Chandrasekhar.
So,